Welcome back to the Essentially You podcast. I am your host, Dr. Marisa Snyder, and I'm here to help you rock your hormones and feel great in your body so that you can reclaim more energy, vitality, and joy, and become the CEO of your health. Let's jump on in. At 18 years old, the year that I started college at Mills College, a private women's college in the Bay Area, I made a decision that I would find a career that I loved and that I would have a career before I started my family because, number one, it was what I wanted, and number two, I knew that my mom worked hard so that I could create a life and a career that I loved. And in my pursuit to find my life's calling, I was 100% about leaning into my passion and my why. My why for serving other women, not just locally or in the US, but all over the world. As a woman who has struggled with her own health issues, I know what it feels like to barely function and to feel like my dreams were slipping away because I simply didn't have enough energy to pursue them. I know that for us to show up day in and day out for our family, career, and other pursuits, health has to be at the foundation. That's why helping women on their health journey is the greatest work I can think of. I always say that I serve everybody by serving women, and I believe that to my core, now more than ever. When I thought about sharing my thoughts on this topic today, is it possible to have it all as a mom? I thought about all the times that I believed it wasn't really possible when I didn't have kids. Probably because I grew up with a single working mama who constantly sacrificed and struggled when I was a little girl. At times, I know that her version of having it all would have been very, very different. And now here I am, almost 9 months into motherhood, with our sweet, cuddly bear, Kingston. And wow, I have such a different perspective. Now, before I dive in, I want to share a couple of disclaimers and touch on something that I'm excited to celebrate. First thing I want to share, if I haven't made it clear before, is that I am in awe of women. And now that I'm a working mama, I am in more awe of women than ever before, especially single working mamas. They are a special breed of rockstar unicorns, in my opinion. Second, as I write this, I am not going to lie. I am exhausted and a bit depleted. Kingston has 2 teeth coming in, and we have been traveling, and I have been literally the middle of the night mama on duty 24/7 without a lot of help. However, as I write this up, one of our nannies, she's amazing, her name's Maddie, is watching Kingston and giving him cuddles about 10 feet away from me. So I cannot tell you how grateful I am for the 5 hours today to get some much needed stuff done before we take off again tomorrow for a week. And number 3, I have so much gratitude for my amazing team, my husband, Alex, whose birthday is today, letting me literally, not letting me, but watching the baby so that I can record this later on, and for you being here listening today, and then to Kingston because of his endless giggles and cuddles. Even when life feels hard, because goodness knows it definitely has these last couple of weeks, there's always so much to be grateful for, like my opportunity to write up this episode, which is episode 299 today. And we are celebrating next Friday with a very fun episode. I am devoting the entire episode to the top 10 episodes of all time on this podcast with a super amazing giveaway for subscribing and reviewing this podcast. I'm going to be giving away some Apple AirPods, my best-selling supplements from the Essentially Whole store. So you are not going to want to miss out. Mark your calendar and join me next Friday in celebrating a show dedicated, it's dedicated to you and women across the board. So now that I've shared all of that, I've got my disclaimers and celebrations out the way. Here's the answer to the question, at least my answer to the question. I believe that we can have it all, and many of us are having it all, even if we really didn't want that. Juggling being a working mom and doing all of the mom stuff, it's not always a choice for some mamas out there in the world. It wasn't a choice for my mama. Now, for those that choose to have it all, it's not always easy, and oftentimes something has got to give. It just does. I have met a lot of superwomen moms in my time. Thousands of them. And I've never met one that felt like she had it all with incredible ease and grace all the time. Now, I don't know about you, but when I was growing up, we were raised to believe that we could do anything we wanted to do and that we could have it all. And here we are doing it. We're earning graduate and doctorate degrees at greater numbers than ever before. We are earning more than our counterparts, in fact, right now. We are breaking down new barriers in business and in the professional world, and many of us are bearing, let's be honest, a disproportionate responsibility for raising children and household tasks, especially during this pandemic. As a working mama who runs a company, it's hard not to think sometimes, is this what having it all is all about? There are definitely times when it feels like having it all really just means doing it all. And I was already doing it all. That is who I am in my nature. I didn't realize that by adding motherhood to the mix that I would just be doing all of it even more so. I'm definitely doing a lot all the time without any breaks, hence being so exhausted these days. And to be honest, it feels like the list never ends. Even when you simply give up on the house needing to look a certain way for your own peace of mind. Personally, I can't stand clutter. I can't stand stuff all over the place. I feel like I can't think when clutter's everywhere. And I get that this is my own little thing and friends will tell me to just let it go. And I have. But it doesn't mean that I don't wince every now and again when I look at my house and think, oh my goodness, it used to always be clean. Many of us have so many balls in the air, it feels like any small gust of wind will send the whole thing crashing down. That's simply the truth of it. But as I settled into motherhood as a practitioner and the CEO of my company, I find myself surrendering more and more each day. I am surrendering to inconsistent work hours, and that's okay. I'm surrendering into a slower pace with my baby, and that's okay. I'm surrendering into being more fully present so that I can enjoy the moment that I'm in, rather wanting to work when I'm being a mother or wanting to be a mom rather than working full days. I'm surrendering into the season of life that I am in right now with an 8-month-old, about to be 9-month-old, who is climbing and crawling and almost walking everywhere inside of the house. I mean, everywhere. And I am also more intentional and clear on my priorities so that I can get it all done. The things that are specifically on my priority list. Gosh, that has been the greatest lesson. I already thought I had really clear priorities, but my goodness, having a child changes it and takes it to the next level. And lastly, I am letting go of a lot of crap that simply doesn't serve me. I am not feeling crazy ambitious at this moment, which is I guess it's not shocking, but it definitely feels shocking for me. Because I know that this is just the season in my life. Earlier this year was super crazy with my book release and so many big projects that we were accomplishing. But as I leaned into the summer, I decided that I wanted to not go so full tilt for the rest of the year. And, we had to rearrange things. We had to, rebudget and all that kind of stuff to figure out what it looks like for me to lean out a little bit at the end of 2021. But I am all for it. And even though there are days where I have a little angst because I am not being as productive as I used to be or that I love to be, I remind myself that this was the decision that I made. And I really am trying to enjoying savoring these moments with Kingston. Now, my mom always says, literally, she said it to me on the phone today as I was talking about this episode that I was writing up, that you can have it all, just not all at once. And I'm sure there's a lot of people that absolutely agree with that statement. And I respect her opinion given all the years as a single working mom raising 2 girls. And she is still working today, definitely on her terms at this point. Now, in my opinion, I believe that we can have it all. Many women, as I mentioned earlier, do have it all, even if they are not really feeling the arrangement of it all. But in having it all, there's got to be an ebb and flow, and it's not always going to feel easy. I mean, being a mom isn't easy in its own right. So how would being a mom and running a career be easier? I just can't imagine how that's possible. It's really just a matter, I think, of finding your flow and your non-negotiable priorities and honoring those. That could look like not taking a shower or getting ready so that you can finish that project or you can hike with your kids. I find myself constantly prioritizing what's the most important thing that day and then surrendering if it doesn't all go as planned. And at the end of the day, for me, I do my best to choose joy as much as possible, even if it's not the day I had planned, no matter how exhausted I am. I know that I don't necessarily know your particular situation right now, especially with the pandemic. It's done none of us any favors, especially the mamas and women of the house, right? I would say that women have taken more of the burden than I can even possibly imagine. But I do know this, that when we can choose to be fully present and engaged in what we decided to do in that moment that we're in, the more that we can lean into that, being more fully present, more content with the current situation, that we can create contentment over time. And that's really, in this episode, my humble opinion on having it all. It's rarely easy, but hopefully it is worth it to you, especially when you're able to be fully present and you choose. You choose to create joy. You choose to create beautiful moments out of it. So in my exhausted, depleted state, as I write this up and record this with you today, that has, and I have had not so great days, and I've had some super great days, and I've thought a lot about, how can I turn these not so great days into better days? And ultimately, it was about being fully present and not feeling guilty in one direction or the other. If I could be fully present in the moment and really just be about that moment, then I could cultivate more joy and more fulfillment. And I feel like no matter what journey we're in, no matter what circumstances we're in, that's the best we can do to really cultivate that feeling of contentment and joy. So I want to just say thank you so much for listening today to this episode. I had been wanting to talk about motherhood for quite some time. I just hadn't found my place in it. I still felt like I was kind of figuring out what it was for me for many, many months. But as I'm coming around the corner to 9 months, and I have made some really big decisions around what career trajectory looks like versus motherhood trajectory looks like, I just wanted to share a little bit about what I felt. Because I remember at the very, very beginning, and definitely when I was pregnant, I was like on this crazy run to show everybody that you can have it all. And the start of this year, it really did. It was this unfolding of having all of it, but it was so crazy and chaotic. And I think maybe it looked okay from the outside, and it doesn't matter what it looked like at all, but there was a lot of things happening and a lot of juggling that was going on. And it definitely and there was a lot of accomplishment in it all, but it was hard and it was chaotic and it was hard, period. And so I was like, how do I create more flow in this? How do I still get to have this beautiful career and this beautiful mission and this beautiful why, and also be this really awesome mama that I find doesn't come as naturally to me as it comes to other people? And so that's why I wanted to share on this today, because as I'm approaching 42 years old in just a couple of weeks, literally on Labor Day, I've just been giving so much of this a lot of consideration. So again, thank you so much for listening to the show today. This show is all about providing tools to rock your hormones and honestly just feel amazing in your body and in your life. So if there's someone in your life that needs to hear this particular episode today, definitely take a moment and screenshot the episode, send it on to them via text or via social media, whatever works, DMs. And why we do this is, one, we love the people we love and we want to help them out, but also it's continuing to spread the word about hormone literacy and really offering a beautiful place for women to land so that they can create their best life through their health and wellness. And if you are sharing it on social, definitely use the hashtags hormone literacy or hashtag hormone CEO. As I mentioned earlier, each episode is all about you. And this Friday episode coming up, the next Friday episode, we are celebrating a big milestone. As I mentioned, we're going to be sharing the top 10 episodes on the show, and I have an amazing giveaway to celebrate. So definitely tune in to enter to win Apple AirPods and supplements from the Essentially Whole line, especially my best-selling ones. Until then, have an amazing end of summer. I know it's wrapping up, but yeah, savor as much as you can.